Hi, everyone. Welcome and thanks for attending. I'm Scott at Chief Architect, and we're here today to discuss stair details and headroom sections. Also on today's webinar are a number of Chief Architect staff to keep an eye on me and also help with your questions. I'll first go through my presentation, which should last about 25 minutes today. During this time, you can chat your questions into our staff, and then following my presentation, you can raise your hand, we'll unmute your microphone, and you can ask your questions live. You'll find these controls in your GoToWebinar control panel. Our session today will be recorded, and we'll be sending out a link to the presentation in the next day or so. In there will be a survey. We always appreciate your feedback. If you could take a moment to fill that out, we would greatly appreciate it. With that, let me switch over here and let's get started with the presentation.
In this session, we'll look at stair details and headroom sections. The key areas I will cover are using a cross-section to create a headroom detail, displaying stair detail options through the layers and the stair dialog, displaying in plan view the stair details, and creating and using CAD details for stairs. Let's begin in a plan. Use the straight stair tool and place a set of interior stairs. Stairs have default settings for both interior and exterior stairs. As you get familiar with stairs, it's a good idea to set up your preferred stair defaults in your template plan. As I move these stairs, they will bump to the wall. If you want them to bump to a CAD line, you can set up the bumping option on the Stair Dialog Line Style tab. As I draw a CAD line in the plan, the stairs will now bump to that line. Once you place a set of stairs, first operation is to create a stairwell. You can do that manually, or you can allow the program to do it. In my lower edit menu, there is the option to create an automatic stairwell. Only appears if you have yet to create the stairwell. Once the stairwell is created, you can move up to the floor above and you'll see the stairwell, which is a set of railing walls, and this room in this area is defined as an open to below room, which you can find on the general panel. Using the open to below room, it's been renamed to be a stairwell. You can use this open to below room for other room types if you have an elevator shaft that will actually punch through the structure and create the opening for the stairwell. Go ahead and tile our views. Underneath the menu system, you can do this by tile vertically. Notice there's a shortcut, Shift F6 on the keyboard, and this will open up the 3D view that I already have active, and now you can see the set of stairs that span the two platforms and the railing wall with the open to below room that we were just looking at. Now the first thing in creating your headroom, I like to use the back clip cross-section camera. So I'm just going to kind of zoom in here a little bit. Sometimes I like to only display this camera on one floor or the other. I'm going to create that section view from floor 1. You can have this camera display on all floors or on the floor you created it with. With the back clip cross-section camera, this is the camera that has half of the house, and it will only display a small sliver. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to draw a small sliver right through part of the stairs. I am going to stop short of the wall. Now you can see outside of the railing, you can see the stairs. Sometimes what I like to do is adjust this camera for the headroom detail. You can always do this after the fact. Click on the camera. I'm going to slide it inside of the railing, and that creates a pretty clean view to show the stairs and where that platform intersection is. Now in creating your headroom, typically most code is going to be 6'8", and in this example I'm going to make this so that it's exactly 6'8" for the headroom. To do that, here's what I typically do. I will use the line tool, and I'm just going to come in here and draw a line to begin with. Then I'm going to use the end-to-end dimension tool. You'll find this underneath the main dimension tool, and I'm going to use the end-to-end dimension. I'm going to pick up the line, and I'm going to simply pull that up to the edge of the sheetrock, and as I zoomed out you can see that I picked up actually the platform. I'm going to grab the diamond and I'm just going to pull that down so that it's on the nosing of the finished layer of the ceiling. Now select the line, move your cursor over the dimension, and I'm just going to type in 80 inches. So at that point I know that that's 6'8". I'm going to come over and I'm going to draw a line on the nosing of the stairs. So I'm going to use L on my keyboard. It's a shortcut for the line tool. And I'm just going to snap on to the nosing of the stairs. We'll pull the line over until it intersects into that area. And it turns out that it's very close actually to the nosing of that tread. Let's go ahead and snap that over. At this intersection right in here is where I'm going to have 6'8". I'm going to draw a temporary line that I can use to run a dimension. I'm just going to drag this up, and as I'm dragging I'm going to press the tab key. This works on the Premier edition of Chief Architect. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to type in 100 inches so that pops up well above, and I can run a temporary dimension to see how far this platform can move where it intersects this line, which will give me the exact headroom. Using the tape measure tool, I'm going to come over, I'm going to click on the edge of the platform, and you can see that I can move that over just a little over 2'8". So let's move back over into the floor plan view. And here's one of the things that I like to do, and that is going to be an adjustment on the second floor. If I make sure my temporary dimensions are on, you can check over, in my case my temporary dimensions are over on my right hand screen. The letter T typically also toggles those on and off. If I tap on this wall and you see a couple of dimensions, one for the main stairwell and one that's going to the outside of this wall in here, I'm just going to come in here, I'm going to click on either one of these dimensions. I'm going to use plus 2'8" and 1/8, and I'm going to go ahead and press enter. That's going to move that wall precisely that amount. And when I return back into the section view, you can see that it moved that platform, and I now have exactly the 6'8" headroom. I can then remove this line. Notice that it actually joined the entire line. I'm going to unconnect that line because I don't want to delete this lower line. I'm going to use the tool called Disconnect Selected Edge. I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to slide the dimension over, and then I'll also adjust this line and tighten it up just a little bit. Again, this may be a preference, but I now have my headroom exactly at 6'8". You can see the platform. If you want to go back in, pull that camera back out so you can see the detail, you can do that back in the floor plan view. At this point, the view is complete enough to begin to send it to your layout sheet. Layout in Chief Architect is where you organize your construction drawings. First thing that I typically do will be to save this camera. You'll find this option up in the upper menu, Edit Active View, and I'm just going to give it a name. And I usually like to be pretty descriptive with these, so I'm just going to call it the stair section. Now that the view is saved and you return back to the view, you can see that here is the callout S1, which is the default for the display. You can click on this, you can move it, you can also rename it. If you just Control E or use the open button, you can come in to the plan display. You can see the callout label S1, and there's the option to display this on all floors. Maybe in some cases you don't want that camera view to display on all floors. You can simply remove that option, and then on the second floor you can turn it off. Now here's something that comes up periodically. If I turn that display off and I go up to the second floor, you notice that in this case you don't see the camera view, and it could be you want that camera view only on the second floor, but you've got the camera, you drew it on floor 1, and now you're at the point where you've spent some time doing your headroom and other information. One easy way to manage that, just go back into the section view. You can either double click on the camera or I have that tab open. Go up to the second floor, see it's saved, save the view, and now that actually moves that view up to the second floor. You can see that camera. I'm just going to slide it so that it's actually in the stair itself, and that's how you can control where that camera or that section view is saved. Now to send this out to the layout, I'm just going to grab one of my existing 11 by 17 layout sheets that I have. I'm going to come over and let's just pull this over so that we can kind of tile our screen over here. And I want to send this view out to the layout, and I'm going to send it out at a 1/2 inch scale. Underneath the file menu, send a layout, and we're going to send it out to page 1, and I'm going to send it out at a 1/2 inch scale. Once that shows up on the layout sheet, you can easily crop this and adjust it. You may want to pull that up to the bottom of the floor. You may want to adjust any of these elements that you want to tighten up the viewport. I'm just going to slide that off to the side. Here's the view. I'm going to take my default text that I already had in here, and you can make any changes to this text. And to complement this, I want to send out a stair detail that the local building department requires me to have to meet the code requirements for their locale. What's the best way to send a CAD detail of a stair detail to this sheet? There's a few ways you can do it. One, if you open up the library, you're going to find Chief Architect has about 500 different CAD details. In the core library, you'll find these underneath the CAD details. There's also an additional library you can download from our 3D library. As I scroll down, I've already downloaded this, and I'm going to come down underneath the CAD blocks and details under CAD details, and if you scroll down, there's a category called stairs. If I click on the interior stair, you can find these details. I want to show you how to get these. You can come up into the menu of Chief Architect underneath the library, and you can say get additional content online. That's going to open up the 3D library. If you're a Chief Architect customer and you have SSA, these libraries are free. You come down to the category for CAD, or you can do a search, and this is the particular library that I've downloaded right here. You can click on these and it will show you a little bit more information about what these details are. Once you've downloaded this, it will then show up in your library. Getting this CAD detail on your layout sheet, I'm going to show you the steps that I use to do this. I actually put this inside of a detail inside of my plan container. So I'm just going to move back over into inside of my plan file. There's a workspace for details. And the way I manage this is through the project browser. I'm going to open that up, and in my project browser there is a category for CAD details. You can see that I actually already have a category for CAD details that I've created. The way that you can do this, and one of the things I actually do is I'll save this in my template plan, build my detail for the stairs, then I have it saved in here. If you're curious, you can just simply come in here, right click, and say new CAD detail, and we'll just call it Stair 2, and this will open up a nice clean workspace. You can do any editing and send it out. If you go back over into the library browser, you can now grab this stair and you can come over and place it into the detail. This comes in as a block, so when you click on it, you can unblock this and make any changes that you want to this detail and make it specific for your needs or your building department, and then send it out to your layout sheet. Now, if you're watching this seminar, and I'm going to try and post my plan if you want to grab any of my details. If I go back over into the project browser and I open up some of my stair details, you can see a few of them. And here's an example. I'm going to post this file for the next little while on Chief Talk, so you can grab this if you want to just pop out there and do a search for stair details. Then you can grab this and any of these details if you like them. You are welcome to use them. Of course, there's a little disclaimer down here at the bottom that says I may not have done a great job with them, so use at your own risk. So once you have these details in this workspace, I'm just going to move over and send this clean detail that we have, and I'm going to send this out to the layout sheet. So underneath my file menu, I'm going to come down to send a layout, and then on sheet 1 I'm going to send this at a scale that says it's 1 inch equals 1 foot. This will show up in the center of the layout. You slide that over and then make any adjustments that you need to. If you want to do a call out like I've done down here, you can do that. And that's the way that I create my CAD details on the layout sheet. Now if I move back over into my stair detail that I have, these details are a few that I might use and create depending on the situation that I have. And I've saved these into my template plan, and then as I go forward and work on future plans, all of these details are available, and then I can grab the one that I want, send it out to the layout sheet. I can even just crop that view, send the entire group out, but just crop it into the view that I want, and then I have the details for my stairs that I need. It could be some building departments. I've got one here from, I think this is Chesterfield, Virginia, and as I scroll down and you look at some of these details, your building department may already have the details that you want, and you can simply bring this in as a PDF. This is a PDF file, and then put that on your layout sheet. You may just want to crop out a section of this and bring it in and use it that way. And then you don't spend time drawing details if this is good enough for what you need. For your plan views, you may need to show additional detail for your stairs. As I click on the stairs, over in the active layer display set options, there are a couple layers that I currently have turned off. The first one is the stair and ramp details, and the next one is stair and ramp stringers. Let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look at what we just turned on. The stair details allows you to see a dashed line and then the stair overhang, the tread, and that's what the stair details is going to show you. The other one is the stringer. You can see that we have a single stringer in here, and again, if you click on the stairs, there's a few other things you can turn on and off. If you want to turn off the arrow, then you can control that, and these are all through the layers that you have available for your stairs. There are additional details you can turn on for the stairs, and for the purpose for this session, I'm just going to open up these stairs, and one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on the baluster style for these stairs to show how you can show your balusters if you happen to have that style of stair. Let's move down onto the Newel balusters tab. On my plan display, my current stair default is inactive. Let's go ahead and override the defaults that I have set up, and I'm going to draw the Newels, and I'm going to draw the balusters. And when you draw your rails, balusters and Newels, the rails, this is a top-down view, you might just check for your rails that this is a transparent display so you can see through and see those balusters. So once I've enabled that and changed it, zoom in a little bit further, you can now see the Newel down at the end, and then you can see the balusters that are moving up. And again, that was through my stair defaults. If that's something that you typically do, be sure to save that into your stair defaults, and then that will be the default behavior when you use your stairs. Now, additional detail you can use for your stairs is a break line. And when you open up your stairs, there's a specific panel for a break line. With this break line, you can control the style, the distance, if there's a gap. All of these things you can control for your stairs. You get a preview over here. There is for the current floor display, and then there is the floor above and how you want to control these. So let's kind of look at a few of these, and then I'm going to open up an example plan of how I've enacted this where I have a room underneath the stairs so you can see it. Do nothing on the current floor display, you see how it then removes the dashed line. When we remove that outline, normal is going to pretend as if there were no break line on this set of stairs. And then as you move up, you have the same controls for the floor above. When you go up to floor 2, this is how that behavior works. When you enable the break line, this is something you can click on. You can move this break line up and down. See how I hover my mouse over it? And then you can control where that break line is located in this 2D view. Now I've opened the sample plan that I posted after this session. Again, this is available on Chief Talk for download for a period of time after this video is posted. And let's just kind of take a look at a few of these stairs. In this example in the middle of the screen here, I have a small bathroom underneath of this set of stairs. And as you move back over into the plan view here, you can see what I've done. I have a break line that I've initiated. We use the same type of break line I just did previously. And one of the things that might be nice in this case, if you click on this stair segment, let's go ahead and open it up. And in this case, doing nothing after this stair might give you a cleaner view of that space underneath of the stairs. Now you can still see the wall that the water closet is hung on in here. And one of the things that I'll typically do, especially when there is something underneath the stairs, is you can set a transparency for your stair. You can find that underneath the stair. We go back in here. You go to the fill style, and you can see that for the fill and the pattern, which is just a solid color of white, I set my transparency to be 50%, so you can still see items underneath of the stair. And you can actually see the wall that's embedded. We go back into the 3D view. I drew a wall that's just slightly underneath of the stairs. When that wall's underneath of it, it cuts it. That allows me to see it, and I can see those details. Let's slide over and take a look at these winders that I have going up. Now, one of the first things, when you draw a wall underneath of the stairs will automatically clip that wall. There is a setting for your stairs to have a open underneath or closed underneath. And if you take a look at these winder stairs, let's go in and take a look at these. On the style panel for your stairs, there is the option to enclose it, open underneath, and you can see that it presents what looks like a wall. This is actually a false wall. There's only one side to it. If you're planning on putting storage underneath of the stairs, you would want to leave this to be open underneath and draw the walls so that you have a storage or a room underneath of those. So that's an option you can put in your winders. The other thing with winders, if we go back into the plan view here, you can see for the winders that I have set up, I'm displaying the walk line. And the walk line is this dashed line that is going around the stairs. You'll find that setting inside the stairs. Again, that's on the style panel. You can set the walk line. In this case, it's 12 inches. And then you can choose to display that walk line and turn that on. The walk line is going to ensure that you have an even tread width along that line. I've also created a detail. Again, if you go into the project browser and we take a look at the CAD details, go back into the stair details, slide over just a little bit, I've created a winder detail that I can use and send that out to the layout sheet. And this is somewhat what it looks like in my case for this winder. Well, that wraps up this session on stair details and headroom sections. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and open it up here for questions as we get ready to do that. If you want to raise your hand, you'll find that control in your GoToWebinar control panel. And then just raise your hand, be ready to unmute your microphone. And Carrie here is going to curate and manage the questions. So feel free to just raise your hand and we'll call on you.
Thanks, Scott. First question comes from Karen. Hi, Karen. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, Scott. I was wondering if there is a way to create a low pony wall at the stairs that just covers the tread, the railing sits on, and it would die into a full wall, like in the one example you had, but the rail wouldn't continue up the wall. It would just die into the flat face of the wall.
Okay. Well, thanks for the question, Karen. Let me grab that plan here. Let's make sure we understand your question. I've got a couple of stairs that we can take a peek at. So give me just a second here to grab that. And let's see here. Okay, so here's an example of a stair. Tell me how you'd like to see this change to meet your question.
Well, basically, if the first section you had starting from the bottom up to where you have the Newel, if that was open, but and like the wall you have there, you have the low pony wall, but then the wall would become a full height wall.
Okay.
And the rail would die into the wall.
Okay.
And not continue up the stairs.
Is this close to what you're asking for?
Yes, it's close, but to get the rail to die into the wall and not continue up the rest of the stairs.
Okay, so you don't want the rail, to go up the stairs.
Right.
Okay.
Is that possible? I haven't been able to make it happen.
Okay, let's see. So there's railing control in the stairs, and if we just double click and open up these stairs, and we go over to the railing, so there's the option to display the railing on the right and the left. So if I turn off the right, let's see what happens and see if this gets closer. That's not quite what I wanted. Let's go back in and turn that back on. Let's turn it off at the wall. Is that closer to what you're after?
Yes.
Okay.
So how did you get that piece of rail with the low piece of wall to show up?
Okay, so you're talking about this lower railing?
Okay, the wall itself. I don't want the stair treads to be exposed. I want there to be a low wall that the railing sits on top of.
Okay, so when we go back, so more like this.
Yes, the stairs, the way you had them before you made the change to the railing, it was correct.
Okay.
But it changed when you only had the railing going up the portion of it.
Okay. All right, so you want the railing back, and you want
we just have a lot of houses here in Pittsburgh, and that's the way they're detailed, and we are trying to match existing, and I haven't been able to quite get it to match.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure I can visualize everything you're after here, Karen. But what you could do, just drop us an email, put a picture in there, and then I'll take a look at it and I'll send it back to you. Okay. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
So just send that out to sales@chiefarchitect.com.
Okay.
And we'll take a look at it and see if we can't mock up what you're after. Because I don't want to spend too much time. Sometimes I have a difficult time visualizing exactly what you're after.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Our next question is from Wilson Matthews. Hi, Wilson. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Wilson.
Hi, I have two questions. I have a stair coming from the basement to the first floor, which is a 3 feet wide stair.
Okay.
And on top of the stair, I have a door.
Okay.
But when I do the door, I'm not getting that door. That door also I need to be like 3 feet.
Okay, so the door needs to be 3 feet. Okay.
Yeah, but I have the stair coming up, and it's a 3 feet stair, and there's a wall there on the side. So the top also should be closed to have the door there. But then I am not getting that 3 feet door there. It will be less.
Okay.
How do I get that 3 feet door there?
Okay. So there's question number one. What's question number two?
And when I have a L-shaped stair, the transition of the handrail of the stair it's not smooth. Like the newels are sticking, or the rails are not on top of the newels where it's turning here. But in your case, it's perfect. When I draw it, I don't get that smooth transition there. The rail is stopping head of the newels, or it's not on top of the newel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if we can take your first question here. And I'm just going to grab a new plan so that we can see what we're doing here. And so if I just kind of draw an outline of a house, and let's make sure that we have enough room to get a set of stairs in here. And then I'm going to build a basement. You mentioned it was in the basement. So let's go ahead and we'll build the floor. So I'm just come down, build the foundation, and we'll make sure that it's some distance it has stairs. And so here we go. So typically when you do your stairs, you're going to put them on the floor below and have them go up to the floor above. So with the stair tool, I'm going to use what's called the straight stairs, and we'll just kind of slide these over near the wall. And you want those to go up, and you want a doorway to come in, right?
Yeah, I have a door there, on the top.
Okay, let me just slide those down just a little bit. And I'm going to use the stairwell tool down in the lower part, and that creates this opening, right?
Yeah.
And so here's this little opening, and it's a doorway. And you want a door in there, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because instead of the rail on the right side, I have a wall coming up from the basement to the first floor.
So sometimes, I'm not sure exactly if this is what you're after, but sometimes I've seen these where you have an entryway that goes into the door. You have a little bit of a gap so that when you do that, and you put a door in here.
So my case is right at the top of the stair.
It's right at the top. So if we open up this doorway and we go in and we change it from a hinge door. Right? But you want it to go all the way to the top, right?
Yes.
So that's actually not going to be a railing wall, right? So probably what I would do is let's grab the wall.
That's a wall there. It's a wall there.
Right. Let's take a 3D view and just make sure that we know what we're looking at and that I'm answering your question accurately. Okay. Now I've got a little gap between the foundation, and we're not going to worry about that. So you have a solid wall across here, is that right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So
across and the other way also. Yeah. Instead of the railing, it's all wall there.
Okay. So I'm going to take these two walls. I'm going to hold my shift key down. It's difficult to see that I have them selected. And I'm going to just open these up, and it may be easier to do this from the plan view. So I'm going to grab these two walls. And when I created the automatic stairwell, it created a railing style wall. In your case, it's a solid wall. So I'm going to uncheck it so that it's not a railing. Step one. And instead of using a railing style wall, I'm just going to use an interior wall.
Okay. Exactly.
So now we should have a set of solid walls. And you've got this little doghouse way to get into your stairwell. Right? Well, let's just delete that.
Could you please change that stairwell to like 3 feet?
You want the stairs to be exactly 3 feet.
3 feet. So that door also have to be 3 feet. Otherwise, then let's see that.
Okay, so you want the stairs to be exactly 3 feet. Let's just check them. So right now it says that the stairs are 48 inches.
Yeah, maybe 3 feet.
You want them to be 36.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Quite a bit thinner. So we'll go back up. Let's snap this wall next to that area. And let's use our door and place the door. And you want the door to be exactly 3 feet?
Yeah, otherwise it doesn't make sense, right? Yes.
So in this case, if I zoom way in, you can see that my bumping is being prevented from this casing. This is what these little blocks are here.
Okay, yeah.
So I can turn the casing off of the door. You could come in here and say, gosh, I don't really want any casing, so we'll remove it. And then we'll just stretch the door out to be the full distance.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, and that's good. But in real world life, we will have a casing there, right?
Well, right. Something would have to give. If your stairs are exactly 3 feet and you want exactly 3 feet, a 3-foot door, you'll have to figure out which one you want to hit the door out.
So what is my driving criteria? Like the door should be 3 feet and then stair will be bigger than the 3 feet?
So typically what you might do is if you're, I just press undo here a couple times.
Yeah.
Typically, I'm going to put a door in and specify what the door is. And if it's going to be 3 feet, I might make this door 32 inches or something in that range so that I know that I can still get my casing in there. So it's just going to be a choice of how you want to manage that door and the size.
Scott,
Go ahead, Al.
can you double click the select tool, please? There should be a checkbox, I think it's the second one down, to ignore the casing for an opening resize. It keeps the casing and lets you resize the door to the opening.
Right. So in that case, as we resize it, you can see that it's trimming it off, but it's embedding it in the wall, so you can still
Okay.
see what you need to make the adjustment
Okay.
on.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that works for me. Yeah.
All right, and then your next question was a set of L stairs. And
Yes.
so if we just place a set of L stairs, let me grab the stair tool. I'm going to use the L stair tool, and we'll just place a set of stairs just in here. And let's make sure that they're using balusters. You said they were using balusters, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's come down to our railing, and we'll just make sure that it's using balusters. Okay, well, let's take a peek at this. And so there's the transition in the corner, right?
Yeah, but in your case, it's coming up good. But when in mine, the railing is not on top of that, the ballast on the newels at the top of the stair. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So this looks okay to you here?
yeah, kind of. At least it looks transition good.
Yeah. So there's a few controls that you can check on with your railing. So currently I have a bottom rail, and you can see my balusters are not going to the stair. So there's that. And then there's an option here for smooth transitions. And if we just turn that on, that may make some adjustments and may work. It kind of does a curve. I don't know if you saw that happen, but it does a nice curve, and the program tries to do a little bit more softer transition to the railings. If it's not working for you, Wilson, why don't you button up that plan and send it into our support center?
Yeah, that's what I was
going to take a look at it.
That's what I was going to do. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Scott, our next question is from Jim. Hi, Jim. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Scott.
Hey, Jim.
So, it's funny how nomenclature is different from one part of the country to another. Like, I know Chief doesn't use HAP or heel height, which is another webinar. But for stairs, I noticed in the dialog box it says tread. And so for us, we have in Michigan, this part of the country, it's would be two different values. One would be run and one would be tread. So the run would be the length of the stringer, the length that the stringer is actually cut to.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then tread would be, and then tread could be any dimension. But I noticed, and I just wanted to make sure I was right on this, because I think on Chief's dialog box, it'll say tread, which is what we use as run, because the tread could be any dimension you want. Does that sound right to you? Do you guys use run at all over there, or no? Run.
So here's typically what we have set up. And so you have the length of the stair.
Right.
And so that's going to be, I think, the equivalent of your run. And
right. Okay. So that upper little display, or the image above, straight above, it shows tread. So, which I guess our nomenclature would be run, because it's not, that's says tread, but that's not actually taking account for the full dimension of the tread, correct?
Well, if you look at the style in here, you've got your tread information, and currently I have an overhang of 1 inch.
Right.
If that helps.
Right. So in that picture, though, it was actually showing the run, not the tread, because if it had to overhang, the tread would be that 1 inch bigger.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I just want to make sure that I'm putting in, when I'm trying to change it, that the stairs
Sure.
are actually giving me what I'm asking for. But,
yeah.
So
one of the best ways to do that, Jim, is just place a small set of stairs and take an elevation view, and then just kind of mess around with it and just verify that it's doing and accomplishing what you want to for your stairs. And you're right about nomenclature. It is very different around the country.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just takes some measurements. Yeah, that would be perfect. And then finally, just, I did one deck a while back, and I went perfect. I clicked down, the stairs went right down. And then I'm doing one the other day, and it was doing from the edge of the deck, the stairs were going up. Was there something I was doing differently?
Well, maybe it's just winter time and you don't want to go down. A lot of times when you are doing your planning, and let me just pop back in here to the plan view. A lot of times when you're doing something, and if I have a deck, let's grab our deck railing, and we just put a deck kind of off to the side over here. And when you place your stairs and you use this click stair tool, a lot of times what it's good to do is I'm going to click near the wall. So I'll just kind of pause here. I'm going to click about there. And what the program does in this case is when you click near the wall, it's going to do the best it can to join. And I don't have a terrain here, but if I did have a terrain, it's going to do the best it can to join the stair from the platform, in this case would be the exterior room, to the adjoining platform. And this may work if you've got a garage and it's got a step down from the house or something like that. And the program's going to do the best it can to calculate the distance of that stair. So that's typically the way that it's going to work. And of course, we've got a deep foundation without a terrain, but there's your stair that connects in there.
Okay, that's perfect. I appreciate that. I think I was going right to the edge and clicking on the edge of the deck and moving it outwards. And
Right.
So I'll try that. And that seems to make more sense.
Okay.
Thanks for your help.
Thanks, Jim.
Can I add something to that?
Please.
So if you use the click stair, it will try and find 2 different heights, whether it's a terrain to the deck or 2 different platform heights, and try and build a stair that spans them. But you can also draw a stair going down if you don't have your terrain, using the Alt key, and that gives you a different way of controlling it.
Oh, awesome.
And it helps to show the arrow.
Okay. So just use the Alt key and it goes the other direction. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Jim.
Yep.
Scott, our next question is from Brandon. Hi, Brandon. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Scott. 2 kind of independent questions. One, with all the code stuff, and I'm sure that it's relatively similar around the country, but 4-inch baluster kind of spacing idea, the 4-inch sphere. The same kind of applies to open risers, that you can't have that space, or maybe it's a 6-inch sphere at the riser. Do they offer anything that, some of the people that make the treads, especially in some of the metal stairs, actually have little turn ups at the back to reduce that open riser height. Is there anything in Chief that gives us that?
Brandon, I think the best thing you can do is, get a CAD detail like this and place it. If you need additional information in a 3D view, you can, there are controls in the stair that you can adjust the tread height and then your riser height. And also in this case where I have this image up where I've got a bottom rail on the stair, you can see that it's snugged right up to that 6-inch sphere diameter down here. And so if you take a section view, you can place one of those, that's just a CAD circle, and you can set the diameter to, and if your code's 6 inches, you could set that to that diameter, and then you can verify that it's accurate. And then your section view would show you exactly what you're after, if that helps. Sometimes I'll do my stairs, get them close in 3D, and then I'll use the detail, something like this, to make sure that when it's implemented that it complies with any of the code requirements.
Yeah, because I mean, just when you're doing, basically, we have an on-off right now, and I was just curious if there was anything in there that was another function to do a turn up at the back, basically a little, almost a toe kick.
Yeah.
At the back of a tread. If you've got an 8 1/4 riser, you could potentially get an opening that would be bigger.
Sure.
Than allowable.
Right.
Okay. Second question, probably completely again unrelated, but on the stairs, is there any way to force the railing to be a stringer mounted to the outside? With let's just say that these were going to be metal balusters that you're just going to, or even wood balusters, you're going to screw to the outside of the stringer, as opposed to balusters mounting on the treads.
Sure.
Very kind of 70s, 80s thoughts or exterior deck stuff. Right.
You can't do that quickly with just using the railing tool. There's some ways you can accomplish it. Sometimes what I'll do is it maybe in reference to like a deck, Brandon, or is it with a stair?
Well, it's a hypothetical at this point, but I just encounter it where it's like, okay, well, it doesn't work, and all you have to say is, well, kind of don't pay attention to this. I mean, you spend a lot of time putting, like just with your catalogs, you got 1,000 things with plates and flower vases to put on shelves, but the stair railing doesn't work right. It's kind of like, hey, we're prettying this up, but wait, don't pay attention to this.
So the request to put the balusters on the outside of the stair and kind of lower them down and nail them into the side, that's a request we've heard about. You can't do it automatically in the program. You can put a railing and have it put on your stair. You can convert it to a symbol, and then you can apply that symbol onto your stair. So you can do it that way. But I don't have an automatic way to just do it with the stair settings inside the dialog.
Basically, it's not even, I mean, more than I guess I'm happy that it's not there because I haven't found it. So I feel better now.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
All right, Brandon.
Scott, our next question is from Vicky. Hey, Vicky, how are you today? Go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, I'm good. I actually have 3 little questions.
Okay.
The first one kind of hinges on what the previous caller was asking. Sometimes when you put a bottom rail on a stair and you look at it in 3D or even a 2D view, it's bigger than the 6-inch diameter. Is there a way to adjust the height of a bottom rail up, down, so that, it leaves you that 6-inch space, but no more?
Well, you can go into the dialog, Vicky. Let me close a couple of these things here. You can go into the dialog for your stair, and let's pick one that we know that has a railing on it. And on your rails, sorry, your railing, there is the raised bottom rail amount, and that's probably enough to get my small dog through there, right? So you can adjust that down here, and the setting, if you adjust it, let's just make it 2 inches so that it pops down. You can see that it moves down in the dialog. So there's where you can control the distance of it in moving it from the tread up or the tread down.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yes, that would
Okay.
work.
Okay.
Second question.
Yes.
The tread overhang.
Yes.
Usually I want a tread overhang on the stair, but I don't always want the tread overhang on the side. And there doesn't seem to be a way to do just one and not the other. And
so you want to trim the overhang
on the side. I don't want an overhang on the side where where it's exposed.
Sure.
But I do want the tread overhang onto the lower tread.
Right.
So if there isn't a way to do that, let's make it a feature request.
Well, yeah, I can't do it automatically. So
Yeah.
in the case where I've got this exposed stair, whoa, and you can see the overhang in here, I can't trim that so that it's flush with the stair. And I may just pause there for a minute if, Dermot, if I'm incorrect there, or if there is a way that you know of to adjust that, maybe jump in.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you want it to show, sometimes you don't.
So we will automatically put the overhang on any exposed side. So if you want it on the front of the stair but not on the side, there's not an easy way to do that. In the back of my mind, I was wondering, I wonder if you put a wall and made it invisible, if you could do that. But then, of course, it's going to not allow you to have a railing there.
Yeah.
But, you might be able to trick the program. I wouldn't know unless I tried, but there's no automatic way to do that.
Okay, thanks. Let's put it in as a feature request. Third question, is there a way to, or how would you get at the label to adjust the font or the text size for the up and the down?
The arrow? Is that what you're asking about, Vicki?
The text that says up and down.
Okay, well, let's take a look. And so you see my font's probably using a blueprint font.
Mm-hmm.
And if I click on that, I come over to my arrows. That's using the default text style down here at the bottom.
Oh.
Right, and if you click the define button, you could edit that. You could build a new stair style, but let's just click at it. And here's where my font control is for that. So
okay.
if I just change that to something that's quite different, that's where
excellent. Because most of the time I want it to be smaller.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And so that setting's in there as well.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Vicki.
Scott, we have Roland here with a question. Hi, Roland. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, I was curious if you could demonstrate where the stairs are going around the corner. You show there how you do that?
Okay, Roland. So you want a set of stairs to wrap a corner?
Yeah, without the landing, but you get the pie-shaped pieces.
Okay. So around the outside of a wall. So if I just drew a new wall, let's just make sure I understand it. So we want the stairs to go around this wall like this?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. With the stair tool, I'm going to click and drag along the stair. And let's go ahead and bump that wall up so that we're kind of square there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the next stair segment. We'll come in here, click and drag up. Again, let me slide that over and we'll bump it to the wall. So I now have two stair segments. And if I want the land, did you say you did not want a landing?
No landing. Okay.
So now what I'm going to do, let's pull this up so that we can do it this way, and then I'll have to move those other stair segments. So I'm going to draw 3 stairs in there. Then I'm going to take this stair, and you can kind of see as I click on this, I'll pause for just a second. I have 2 stair segments, 1, 1, and 1, 2. I'm going to hold my Alt key down on my keyboard, and I'm going to pull that around at a 90-degree angle. Okay. And then let's use another stair, and we'll come up this way, and then we'll pull the wall over and snap into there. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, that's great. How is there a way to finish the corner so it's square on the opposite side?
That would be in the program. That's kind of considered a winder. And let's just kind of draw a set of walls in here, and let's bump this wall to the stair in both directions here. And if you want to fill that in the program, you open up the stairs, and that's considered a winder. If we kind of go back here, there's an option down here to check winders.
Oh.
Let's try this again. I may have my stair. In theory, that should be working okay. Well, I'm using a release. Let's take a quick look and see what this looks like in 3D if we dare. Okay. If anybody has any suggestions here, if I've done something wrong, feel free to jump in.
This is just kind of an FYI. Winders won't work if it's not in a room.
Oh, okay. So let's just make that a room. There we go.
Beautiful.
There's no way to get out, but there's your there's your winder.
That's beautiful. If I dare ask one more question about.
Go ahead.
And it's not related to stairs per se, but you know, sometimes I feel like when I'm, you know, roll the wheel and I want to move and look at a particular spot, that I'm chasing myself around the screen. Is there any way to?
So your 3D navigation is a little bit more.
Even in 2D, you know, if I have a tendency to point, you know, where I put my mouse, I want to scroll where I'm looking.
Sure.
Or put my mouse, but it seems like the screen just moves up from me, and I don't know.
So that's a fair question, Roland. Here's one of the things that you can do with the navigation. I have my navigation on the left side of my screen over here, and usually when you take a 3D view, you're in this orbit mode. And then when you use I have a wheel mouse, if I can hold this up a little bit closer. So when I wheel in and out, that gets me closer. And then as a shortcut, so I don't have to keep going up and back and changing my navigation, if I press the center mouse button down, that wheel, I can actually pan up and down and left to right. And I use that all the time. So I'm wheeling in, and then I'll hold my middle mouse button and scroll over, pan over actually. And that's one of the ways that I actually do my navigation quite a bit. So hold your middle mouse button down so you pan, and that way it may be a little easier way to navigate around.
Okay. I guess, so could you go into a 2D drawing and,
okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Same thing. Middle mouse button will pan, and then wheeling, using your wheel on your mouse zooms in and zooms out. Middle mouse button, hold it down, and you can pan over.
Oh, maybe I just need to have a different workflow. You know, if you zoomed out, you rolled the, so if you scrolled the wheel out, and let's say you wanted to look at the far left corner,
okay,
you moved your mouse over and then scrolled in. Yeah.
And another way you could do that too, Roland, is there's some navigation tools over here. So if you wanted to zoom in on a certain area, you could zoom in on a certain area using this tool that is called Zoom. And then there's a fill screen, F6 on your keyboard, which is a shortcut over there. Delete that CAD line. F6 will fill your screen. So if you're zoomed way in and you're trying to figure out, well, what's the bigger picture? You can use this tool called Fill Screen. And as I kind of hover over that, when you hover over those tools, a lot of times it will tell you what the shortcut key is, which in my case is F6.
Okay.
Hope that helps, Roland.
Yeah, thanks. One more quickie. It's more of a request. I noticed, on the bump tool, you hold down the shift and you had something you move. I wonder if you could like add the control key so that it was half the amount that or I guess managing the bumping. Is there any setting that controls how much you can bump it with using the arrow keys if you're have an object that's
your bumping and your snapping is typically, if we go into our edit tools and your behaviors. So your bumping and snapping, you can turn these on and you can turn them off. So right now, I have these, my bumping turned on, and you can see that down here, bumping and pushing. So that means when I have something, let's just grab this stair and I'll copy it over here. When I have this stair and I go to move it, because I have bumping on, it's going to bump to that. Same with a cabinet. Now you can hold your control key down. I'll do that. And then you can actually push it partway in. And the other thing you can do is if you're moving it, and you're using the Premiere version, press the Tab key, and you can be very precise about how far you move it. So if I move it 3 inches in this case, press Enter, it will move it in that dimension. Hope that helps. Carrie, do we have more questions?
We do. I did chat out a video about navigating tools to help out Roland, and we have another question from Wilson. Go ahead, Wilson.
I've got one last question. You showed us that stair detail from the chief doc. Where can I find that information?
Oh, sure. So if you, and Carrie will probably chat this out one more time, but if we, let me grab my program over here. Let's pull this over. If you come out to Chief Talk and we come down, click on Chief Talk, you come down and you look at the announcements, I believe is where she posted it. And we take a look at underneath announcements, there's this link for March 25th, Stair Details and Sections. And you come down, there is the Stair Detail Webinar zip file, and that has that file in there.
Yes, I download that, but I don't see that stair detail what you're referring to, what you showed us earlier.
Yeah. And so when you open up that file, go into your project browser, and underneath CAD details, you should be able to open that up, and I believe I put in 4 different details in here.
So it's under the chief bonus catalog, or?
So the plan that I posted, when you open up the project browser, has CAD details. And if you want to go out to the 3D library, then you can download the CAD detail library. Let's just kind of go over here.
I was looking for this one, what you showed just now.
Yep. So that's where you get it. Just open up the project browser and it's underneath the stair detail.
Got our next question is from Eric. Hi, Eric. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
When you click on any item, the active layer display menu automatically populates with everything that is included in that. On my laptop, it does that, but on my desktop, it doesn't do that. Is there an option that I can find? All of the all the parts of it, but on my home computer, it doesn't. The active layer display is just displaying everything.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head if you're clicking on something and it highlights and you're not seeing it on your desktop. I would encourage you.
Scott?
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and click on the little settings gear at the bottom of your active layer displays? See the show all layers? That controls it.
Oh. Okay. So it takes focus away when that is turned on. I see.
Yep. So my guess is his one computer has that set and the other one doesn't.
Okay. Well, great.
Give that a try.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, Eric.
Scott, let's check in with Andre. Hi, Andre. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
This is a question that is stair related, but not, it can also be railings as well. There's a section in the dialog box where you can change the profile of the actual handrail, where you could have it square, semi-round, or any profile, any CAD profile that you can get that basically styles how the handrail will be shaped, the top of the handrail.
So Andre, you're looking to change the profile of the stair handrail, and
Yes.
if we open up our stairs and we come down to the rails panel, and then currently we come over to the rail profile area. And if I click on the profile, I'm just using a 2-inch square profile. This is the preview of it.
Okay.
And if I click on replace, you can browse out to the library out here. And depending on what you have downloaded, you can come and pick which style of rail that you want. You can set the width and height. You can also draw your own profile, or if you're working with a millwork company, you could get their DXF profile. And then if we go back into the 3D view, in theory, I can't remember which stair we changed it on. Let's change our view over to vector. I think it was this one right here. So you can do that for the top rail or the bottom rail.
Okay. And one other question.
Yeah.
I know normally well, sometimes it happens to me. I'm not sure why. If it may probably just be a quirk, but the Newel post, just how you would have customized that handrail and so on there just now, is there something probably in the future where we probably will be able to put in Newel posts, or even our own type of post that may be probably 3D model that the dialog box now will allow us to insert our own custom Newel posts or posts in general, or you'll just have to continue to do it manually for the moment?
Okay, so you want to change the Newel post to be something that's different, custom.
I can tell exactly what I want. You know, there's some cable railing that rather than having a top mount like how you have there, they're side mounted onto the face of your slab. I was looking at doing something like that, but the only way you know that you can probably do that is to model it and put it in manually.
Okay. Well, if you want to change the Newel post, there is some capability when you go into the stair and you go into the Newels. And right now I'm just using a simple Newel square, right? And so you can browse out, you can grab different Newel posts and you can pull these out. Let's drop right down into something that's a little bit different. And so these are different Newel posts that you can use in the program. You can create these yourself, or if your millwork manufacturer has the 3D profile of this as let's say a 3ds file or something like that, you can then import that in and use those. You can place them individually outside of the stair dialog as well.
But as it relates to the common post where you mentioned just now, as opposed to having something that is top mounted, and well, in this case it will be face mounted. Mm-hmm. Any chance possibly, I don't know, probably in a release 13 point something, or probably 14 perhaps?
So you're just looking for more control over how the railing is put together. Yeah. I can't make any promises. Obviously, there's quite a few nuances with stairs and requests, and we do work pretty hard to implement those. But I can't make any commitments on how things may change for the very next version or the version after that.
Okay. Well, it's just a thought though, because like I said, these are things that you see in the real world. So just looking at in terms of customizing it, there's a possibility that thing. But I mean, I could model it in SketchUp and just manually place it.
Sure.
But I was just looking at probably a way to do it in a more flexible and fluid environment. But that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And the other thing you can do is you can get it close in the program and then do a detail that shows how you are going to assemble the railing.
Yeah.
Specifically. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
No problem. Cool.
Scott, we have Kimberly here with a question. Hey, Kimberly, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
So I have a 1970s era house with some crazy stairs. It's a stairwell that goes from the basement onto the main floor and then wraps again up. A separate stairwell, but continues from the main floor up to the second floor. And it's a U-shaped stairwell with, say, 4 risers up to 3 winders, and then there's a landing, and then that carries on up to the next level. So when I do the U-shaped stair and add the winders, it's fine, but how do I separate to resize those winders to very narrow to then add another landing in between all of that?
Okay, so Kimberly, when you use the U-shaped stair tool, is that what you're using today to place these stairs?
That's what I had used, yeah. I had tried doing it all manually and creating each winder out of a landing and setting it all in place, but I was just wondering if there was an easier way to do it.
And so when you're going, let me make sure I have apparently I've got my arrow key turned off down here. So where is my arrow? Oh, we guess we don't know. So when you have your set of stairs and you've got a landing, let's close my other views. So you've got a landing that would be right after this winder, is that right?
Exactly. So there would be the 3 winders and then a landing coming up from the bottom.
Okay. So let's take a look here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disconnect that stair. And now I'm going to come up and let's see if we can use the landing tool. I'm going to come in here and let's use our landing tool. And let's click and drag to create a landing, something like this. And let's see if we did okay here. Is that what you're after?
Okay, that's great. And then each of those winders, the 3 winders, need to be resized to.
Sure.
Can you resize those? And then get rid of the 4th winder that's hooking up.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll maybe even draw these manually instead of using the automatic tool, but you can certainly reshape these winders in any way that you want. So, a lot of times this wouldn't meet code because they have a 6-inch minimum. Of course, if you're working on a super old house, that may be out the door.
It definitely does not meet code.
but you can adjust these in any way that you want.
Okay.
Right? And so the trick to that is if you snap them together, they will auto join, which is what happened here with this landing, and it comes in at the right elevation. But you can always open up these specific things. You can turn off the auto adjust height, and in that case, then you can come in here and be very specific. So sometimes if you need to be in a very precise manner, control over it, you can open up each one of those segments and you can control the height of those just by removing the automatic heights, and then you can come in and make any adjustments you need to. But as long as you're snapping those together, they will auto join and come in hopefully at the right elevation for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah.
Got our final question is from Mark. Hi, Mark. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Mark.
This is a little off topic, but I was just curious about, I've got a pretty extensive library, and a lot of the stuff that I brought in has been from SketchUp because it's easy to bring in. But there are some places out there like Turbo Squid and places like that that have FBX files, OBJ, 3ds Max with V-Ray. I mean, some beautiful models that I'd like to be able to import in, but I've never been able to import one of those and get it coming in the way that SketchUp does. You know, like wine bottles and things like that they're fantastic models. If you go on the internet, there are a lot of places where you can get this really fancy 3D stuff. I mean, it's got a lot of polygons to it, but I'd love to be able to bring them in or have more options to have more different file types. Like I tried to bring in a 3DS model of this one little collection that I purchased, but all I get are like 15 bottles with nothing on them. That nothing maps the way it looks,
yeah.
you know?
Right. Yeah.
Is there any coming up or?
The main import files that we have, as you probably have already seen, are the OBJ, 3DS, SKP, and Collada files. I typically will bring in a Collada file because they normally would come with the right textures embedded with them. And most of, you know, I'm not saying
some
all,
of these
but
aren't offered that way.
Yeah, but most of them you can be converted into a Collada file, and I just kind of had a screen up here. I had brought in a couple of a golf cart and a car recently from kind of the same type of thing that you mentioned, and I just made sure they were Collada files so that they were able to import successfully and had all of the materials assigned to them.
Okay. Well, I'll give that a shot. I appreciate it. Or if there's a way that you guys could work on getting some of those other formats to come in. I don't know. It might be.
Which one would you say is the most popular that you
see
use?
out there a lot are FBX files.
FBX. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And also, last little question. Any word on when X13 is coming?
Yeah. So X13
I tried to get on beta, but nobody responded back to me.
We are in beta, and if you want to follow up, you can send an email to beta@Chief Architect, and we have the software out available. I know that the manager of the beta program has quite a list, and maybe he just kind of drew the line after he met so many, but Mark, feel free to send another email out to beta@Chief Architect, and he can relook at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try. But any word on when the national thing's coming out?
Yeah. So X13 is currently targeted by the end of June, and that's our goal to have it out by the end of June.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mark.
I guess that's all we have for today. Scott, did you have any announcements you want to make?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for attending. We will be sending out a link to the recorded session in the next day or so. And in there is a survey. We'd always appreciate your feedback. And what we've got coming up, if you kind of go out to the website, if I show you just a couple of things, scroll down, we have our webinars and training program. We've got a couple of training classes that are coming up that will begin in the latter part of April. So there's an introductory, a kitchen and bath, and intermediate. These are a great way if you want to brush up on your skills. These are full 2-day classes. We spread them out when they're online. So they're 4 hours across 4 different days. And then we also have on-demand training, very similar to the full training, but you can consume these at your own convenience. They're not instructor-led, but it's a great way to do it. Next week, we're going to be back, same time, same place, April Fool's Day. We're going to be talking about how roofs work, covering tips and tricks, and that will be next week. And then the whole month of April actually is about roofs. We have a boot camp that will be on this Friday. If you're a little bit newer to Chief or need a little bit more assistance, this covers the basics on how the program works. And then as always, if you scroll down to the bottom of our website, we have our social media, And if you go out to our Instagram account, we always appreciate, and we've been putting great posts up there from our customers, and you can tag us, follow us. We always like to have as many followers out there. Also, we like to give you good press as well. We have our Pinterest account, and then of course we have our Facebook account, and these are great resources, as well as our YouTube account, and you can see some nice videos on training out there. So hopefully we will see you back here same time, same place. Next week we'll be doing roofs, and I hope to see you soon. Have a great day, and thanks everybody for attending.